Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm running down my top 10 most anticipated solo board games for 2026. This video is sponsored by Ludanova and their new solo-only drafting and hand management card game, Adamastor. In Adamastor, you play the captain of a fleet during the Age of Discovery, navigating through dangerous seas and exploring uncharted lands, all while managing a crew on the verge of mutiny. I've made a full playthrough of Adamastor, so please go check that out to see how it plays, and visit the Ludanova website for more information about the game. Links to everything will be provided in the description below. Number 10 is Mayor of Chicago. This is a quick-playing solo-only card game by the underappreciated Xavier Georges, designer of Ginkgopolis, Troyes, Carson City, and most recently Carnegie, which I made a full solo playthrough for, so go check that out. I've actually made a full solo playthrough of Ginkgopolis as well, which I consider to be an underrated gem. Now, Carnegie has one of the best solo automa systems that I've ever played. I discussed this in depth in my video Top 10 Solo Board Game Automas, AIs, and Bots. I'm very excited to see Xavier tackle an entirely solo game. Also, the publisher Impatience is best known for the soloable Oniverse series of games. I've done a full playthrough of their latest in the series, Siberion, so you can check that out. The game itself sounds pretty simple and straightforward. Each turn, you're going to draw a card and either place it out as part of a map of Chicago or use it for its special power or scoring ability. That reminds me of a little card game called Confusing Lands, which, as you guessed, I have a playthrough of it on the channel. So I'm not sure if this game is going to break any new ground necessarily, but I'm looking forward to it. And unfortunately, that's all the info I have. In fact, I couldn't even find a single photo other than this cover. So there you go, that's my number 10, Mayor of Chicago. Number 9 is The Danes. This is a sequel or spin-off of A Feast for Odin. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any images for this game either, so I'm just going to show my solo playthrough of A Feast for Odin instead. Again, go check out that video. A Feast for Odin is in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Of course, I'm going to be excited for The Danes. Now, from what I've read, and I couldn't verify any of this, so, take it all with a grain of salt, but The Danes started as an expansion for Feast, but evolved into a standalone game, and a much bigger standalone game. I actually saw someone claim that The Danes is going to be in a Gloomhaven-sized box. Now, if that's true, this is way more than just a second edition of Feast. As one commenter suggested, this is actually more like Glenmore 2 compared to the original Glenmore. Again, I don't know if that's true or if that's just speculation. Maybe this will be more like Caverna compared to Agricola. I really have no idea. Unfortunately, it looks like this is going to be crowdfunded in Q1 of 2026. That probably means that it won't come out this year. Who knows? It's more questions than answers. That's okay. The Danes is still my number 9. Number 8 is Away Team: The Voyages of the Pandora. Away Team is a remake of a 45-year-old solitaire game called Voyage of the BSM Pandora. It was a sci-fi exploration game where you would go from planet to planet searching for new alien life forms. It sounds so reminiscent of like classic Star Trek. In this new game, you're going to get to play a solo one-shot or a solo campaign with an interconnected narrative experience that the publisher says provides over 80 hours of play. I read that the game is going to contain a passage book with around 140,000 words, so basically a novel's worth of stories. A single gaming session involves picking one of 7 different star systems and engaging in scientific research. You'll search for aliens, collect genetic samples, document their behaviors, and in the case of intelligent life, try to establish diplomatic contact, all while avoiding getting yourself killed. This really is a dream come true type of theme. I'm slightly apprehensive that this will feel and look like an old GMT wargame. Most of the visuals I was able to find are not final, so, it's kind of hard to say. But if they can pull this off and do it correctly, Away Team will end up being one of the best games of the year. That's why it's my number 8. Number 7 is Satchel Quest. This is a bag-building dungeon crawl game by the design team behind Point Salad and art by Vincent Dutrait. I love bag building as a mechanism. I also like spatial puzzles, and Satchel Quest looks like it takes a streamlined approach to both. Basically, each turn you draw double-sided chips out of a bag and decide how to play them onto your dungeon map. These chips let you battle monsters, disarm traps, and unlock treasure chests, stuff like that. The exact placement of the chips matters because they interact with adjacent spaces, allowing you to build up power chaining combos. Once you're done with that, you'll have a phase outside of the dungeon where you'll get to upgrade skills and buy new chips to add to your bag. Satchel Quest sounds like a great light solo late night kind of game, as well as something that I could share with my kids. That's why it's number 7. Number 6 is Horror on the Orient Express. This cooperative game is co-designed by the designer of Nemesis and Frostpunk, a couple of my favorite games of all time. That's honestly all I need to know. If Adam is the designer, I'm interested. But the game also looks really fun. It's giving me like a Cthulhu Death May Die vibe, especially when I look at the player boards and the cards. It seems as if you're going to be moving around the Orient Express in the 1920s. And the cool thing is there's a physical cardboard train in the middle of the table, reminiscent of Colt Express, which I love. You'll be gathering items and upgrading character skills and ultimately trying to stop cultists from performing a ritual, while of course being attacked by eldritch horrors. I'm reminded of a great scenario from Arkham Horror the card game where you're on a train and being attacked. I'm hoping this will play out something like that, but just on a grander scale. Either way, I think it sounds like good, silly fun. Number 5 is Queen of Spies. This is a quick-playing, solo-only, story-driven board game set in occupied Belgium during World War I. You play as Alice, a spy master, involved in recruiting, training, and deploying operatives with an objective to complete specific missions. The game is told through hour-long stories, which are divided into 3 20-minute chapters. And the description on BGG claims that the decisions you make will shape how each story unfolds. This sounds a bit like Resist, but with more focus on narrative. Queen of Spies is co-designed by David Thompson, who co-designed Resist and Witchcraft, along with a bunch of other great historical games. It's also co-designed by fellow solo content creator Liz Davidson of Beyond Solitaire. Go check out her channel right now if you haven't for some reason. Liz and David are teaming up on another game that I don't think is going to be out this year, but I don't know, I'm keeping an eye on it. It's called Night Witches. Night Witches is a 1 to 2 player cooperative light campaign war game about female pilots who flew harassment missions during World War II. It features artwork by Ian O'Toole, and it lets you attack Nazis. What more could you want? Number 4 is Revenant. This is a worker placement game set in the Voidfall universe by publisher Mindclash and with artwork by Ian O'Toole. By the way, this won't be the last game on the list with Ian O'Toole artwork. As a further side note, and it won't be showing up on this list, but I'm very excited for the first Voidfall expansion, Resurgence. Stay tuned to Totally Tabled for more information about that. The point I'm trying to make is I love Voidfall. I love the setting, I love the aesthetics. This game has all of that and a very neat premise. It kind of reminds me of those early episodes of Battlestar Galactica. You play as an admiral defending a fleeing Starfleet that's being attacked from all sides by Voidborn. As far as I can tell, different factions are living on different ships, and you're trying to earn influence with the factions that are actually going to survive in the end. So you can take actions like attacking enemy ships and repairing damage and flying ships into safe areas, upgrading equipment and crew, that sort of thing. And as you're doing that, you're gaining influence with specific factions, which means you need to keep them safe so you can score that influence at the end of the game. I really like that idea. Now, that might be a mechanism better suited to a multiplayer game, so we'll have to wait and see if it translates to solo play. Either way, I'm intrigued. Number 3 is Journeys Afar, the Ketsuki. This is a sandboxy, narrative fantasy exploration and adventure game. Now, that's a genre that's a bit oversaturated. In fact, I have many fantasy adventure games sitting on my shelf waiting to be played. Usually these are campaign games that take a long time, and time is just a resource that I have the least of at the moment. But Journeys Afar isn't a campaign game. Each session is a self-contained adventure. After recently playing Vantage, go check out my 2 playthroughs for that, this is the kind of exploration game I want in my life. I was also drawn to this game because it doesn't feel as generic as some of the other fantasy games I've seen. It's colorful, some of the characters are quite strange and mysterious. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I get the initial impression that there's more life and imagination in this world. Or I should say worlds, because the whole point of Journeys Afar is that each character is from a different world, with a unique world map and special locations, quests, encounters, threats, everything. On your turn, you can travel around your world, but you can also go through gates to other worlds, exploring, fighting, finding items, improving skills, making offerings to spirits, and ultimately earning legend points to win the game. The solo mode, from what I've read, involves minimal upkeep. You flip an action card, and that will resolve certain effects in the game that mimics what another player would do. It also sounds like there's going to be a website that solo players can use to select encounter cards that will hide results, so you don't accidentally spoil it for yourself when you're reading the card. In a multiplayer game, another player reads those cards to you. This is a similar problem that I ran across with Vantage, in fact. So it just really sounds like they're putting a lot of effort and thought into the solo mode, which is always nice to hear. Number 2 is Timeless Journeys, the Italian Grand Tour. In this game, players are tourists during the 18th and 19th centuries, traveling across Italy in search of art, history, and inspiration. I believe that travel is always a pleasant and welcoming theme for a board game. According to the description on BGG, you'll explore cities, debate in cafes, and fill your travel journals with discoveries that turn fleeting impressions into lasting achievements. Mechanically, Timeless Journeys combines deck building and card chaining. During your turn, you play cards from your hand to take actions. The twist is, when you play each card, you can reactivate any card that you've already played of the same color. So I might play a card that lets me move on the map. Then I might play a different card, but it has the same color as the previous one. So that would let me resolve the movement card again. That sort of card chaining is very exciting. It means the order that you play the cards matters. And it works nicely with the deck building, because it means the more you focus on one color, the more chaining you'll get to do. That sounds very cool. One of the co-designers of Timeless Journeys also co-designed Darwin's Journey, along with Newton and Shackleton's base. So there's some serious design experience behind this game. Furthermore, I think it looks lovely and it doesn't appear to be too complex. Unfortunately, I don't really have a good idea of how the solo mode works, but I'm very excited to find out. And for the 3rd year in a row, my most anticipated solo game is from Vita Lacerda. This year, it's The Great Library. Anyone who has followed the channel knows I'm a sucker for this Lacerda-O'Toole-Eagle-Griffin collab. Speakeasy, Inventions, Evolution of Ideas, Weather Machine, Kanban EV, this series of deluxe board games has never personally let me down. I'd also like to point out that the solo modes in these games keep getting better and better, with Speakeasy being the best in the series in my opinion. You can check out my playthroughs of all of these games to see if I'm telling the truth. But even putting my clear bias aside, The Great Library looks stellar. In this game, players take the role of librarians in the Great Library of Alexandria around the 3rd century BCE. According to the publisher's description, players will research great works, deliver crafts to the kingdom, and train scribes to translate manuscripts. These works are then sent to the Great Library in order to gain renown, which is points. What does all that mean in terms of mechanisms? Obviously, it's too complex to fully explain here, and I haven't played it, so I'm mostly just guessing based on what I've seen. but it appears to be partially a worker placement game using action points in the form of time. Managing your time seems to be a core part of the game, as well as resource management in general. It seems as if there's a lot of different ways of taking different actions, and everything looks super interconnected, all the hallmarks of a Lacerda heavy Eurogame. I'm also possibly getting some Sankori vibes, which I know I haven't made a playthrough yet, even though I said I was going to. I promise it's coming out soon. I just ran out of time, fittingly. Like with Sankori, I just adore any theme that celebrates scientific inquiry and the accumulation of knowledge. As society further descends into an age of idiocracy, we need more games where players embody academics and intellectuals. That's why my most anticipated solo game for 2026 is The Great Library. And there you have it. Which games did I miss? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and joining my Patreon. I'd like to thank all the financial supporters of Totally Tabled, including the totally radical Mitch Fisher, Hextra, John Kohler, Scott Myers, and Jay Satterwhite, as well as the totally bodacious Poppy. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join on YouTube or my Patreon at www.patreon.com/totallytabled. You'll gain access to my new exclusive podcast, Table Talk, as well as unboxing videos and whatever extra stuff I come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.